Welcome into the San Francisco 49ers Report. Chase Sr. here with you. No matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making our post-game reaction video a part of your day. Niners take care of business in Week 15 coming out of the bye week by defeating the Tennessee Titans 37-24. It was really important for San Francisco to win this game convincingly, have a game in which they put together some style points, but they needed to win this game considering everything else that happened today in the NFC. Going into Sunday, the Chicago Bears were the 7 seed. In the early 1 p.m. Eastern window, the Bears dump truck the Cleveland Browns. They win, and the Niners were the 6 seed. Well, in front of San Francisco in this division, the Los Angeles Rams take care of business at home against the Detroit Lions. The Seattle Seahawks come back to beat Grandpa Phillip Rivers and the Indianapolis Colts with a last-second field goal. Those two teams ahead of the Niners in the NFC win as well, NFC West and in the NFC standings. And so a jam-packed day in this conference and a big day for San Francisco to just get a victory, stay within striking distance to still have an opportunity to win this division and maintain a good position in the NFC playoff picture. And you could tell that San Francisco felt rested, rejuvenated, ready to go coming out of the bye week. I thought from the start of this game, this offense especially, led by Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy, was on its P's and Q's. And they were so efficient. They came out, and San Francisco scored 5 times on their first 5 drives of the ballgame. They were really able to take control of this game right from the start. And when the Niners had scored on their first 4 drives, it was the first time they did that to start a game since Week 13 all the way back in 2023 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you look at these numbers here, Tennessee able to make it somewhat close toward the end of the game because they made things a little bit interesting. But at the end of the day, this really was a dominant victory for San Francisco from start to finish, although I was a little bit concerned with some of the things that happened on the defensive side of the rock. But the Niners put up 430 total yards, 292 through the air. They run it for 138 yards. They were 9 of 15 on third down. They dominated time of possession by about 15 minutes, 37 plus to 22 plus. And really, I thought the story of this game was the play of Brock Purdy. It was the play of Brock Purdy with how efficient he was, how clean of a game he played, the start that he helped this Niners offense get off to. But I thought that Brock Purdy, for the first time this year, outside of Week 1 against Seattle, when he was 100% healthy going into the year, was the most mobile that we have seen Purdy. This goes down as a very impressive and memorable game for Brock Purdy for what he did, albeit against a bad team, but how he did it, how he looked, and some of the incredible plays that he was able to make out of structure. He looked like Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M. He looked like Fran Tarkenton back in the day. Doug Flutie, when Doug Flutie was in college at Boston College. Like, Brock Purdy was making plays out of structure, improvisationally, and he was extending plays to still make throws downfield, but also he got so creative with what he was able to do with his feet and with his legs. And in the 2 games since that 3-interception first half against Carolina, he played very well against a good Browns defense in bad weather. Then coming off the bye week, an extra week to get even healthier after I thought he made some nice plays with his feet against Cleveland, has his best game of the season, and I don't even think it was particularly close because of the numbers that he put up, how he passed the eye test, but the dual threat nature that he played with. 23 of 30 on the day, 295 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, a quarterback rating of 140.3, and 44 rushing yards. And I always hate when people will say, well, Brock Purdy played the Tennessee Titans. Jalen Hurts today played the Las Vegas Raiders. And while the Raiders and the Titans are 2 of the worst teams in football, this is the NFL. There's a reason why that saying, any given Sunday, exists and is a thing. Did you know that a majority of NFL games are decided by one score or less? We see shockers every single week. You cannot take an opponent for granted on an NFL schedule because they're getting paid too. And some of those teams, they might be bad. They still have high-level players. Like you saw Jeffrey Simmons today dominate from the interior. And so I'm not going to just throw this away and say, chalk it up as the Niners beating up on a bad team. No, there was pressure on San Francisco to play well. They came out, they dominated. The teams around them in the NFC playoff picture all pretty much won. So San Francisco needed to come through with the victory, and they come through with the victory. Other takeaways I have with what the Niners did on offense, outside of Purdy having that rating of 140.3, as good as it gets, the Niners get the 38 carries for 138 yards. I think they've played their best games. Atlanta, Giants, and what was that? Carolina, and today, where they get between 35 and 39 carries. I just think that when this team is more balanced, that's when they're at their best, especially with Kyle Shanahan and what he likes to prioritize on the offensive side of the football. Because the run game opens up the pass game, which really makes the job of the quarterback a lot easier. It was interesting in this game. It was kind of the reverse, where the Niners come out of the gates. They threw it a lot to start this game. And I had predicted in our preview that I thought Ricky Pearsall was going to have a big game because the Titans, one of the worst teams as far as yards per completion given up. We saw some explosive plays downfield with the Niners aerial attack. 9.8 yards per completion for Purdy. Ricky Pearsall gets going. 6 catches for 96, a long of 38. He caught 6 of his 7 targets. A big third down late, which led to another field goal. He was very banged up in this game. Hip drop tackle. And so we'll monitor his injury status. George Kittle's been on fire of late. We talked about this on the show. 8 catches for 88 yards. He had a touchdown. And then Jauan Jennings. The connection between Jennings and Purdy continues. 3 for 37 for him. 2 touchdowns. One of those touchdowns came on a classic 3rd and Jauan play. And this is the receiving corps that the Niners are rolling with here. Because Brandon Ayuk on Saturday was placed on the left team / reserve list. He has quit on the Niners. His Niners career is over. Would have been a great boost for this Niners receiving corps because of how good of a player he is. But this receiving corps is good enough, especially when Brock Purdy is playing like that. Demarcus Robinson early in this game had 2 big catches for 36 yards. Kendrick Bourne, 2 for 17. Christian McCaffrey, 1 for 14. Kyle Juszczyk, 1 for 7. So many different players getting involved here today for the Niners. As far as the defense, I do have some defensive concerns, and we'll get to those coming up around the corner because I thought that this Niners defense struggled at times, and they made life too easy for Tennessee. So we'll talk defense here in a moment. Let's get to our sponsor. Our friends at Ridge, making today's San Francisco 49ers report possible. The Ridge Wallet has been a game changer for me. You know, I've been telling you about the Ridge Wallet 2.0. I'm somebody who hates having too much in my pockets because there's too much to sort through. So with the Ridge, you can put up to 12 cards plus cash inside the Ridge Wallet. It's practical, it's durable, it's the last wallet that you'll ever have to get because it's made with premium materials like aluminum, titanium, and carbon fiber. Over 50 plus colors and styles to choose from. You can even get a wallet that features every NFL, Major League Baseball, or college team. Perfect for holiday gifting, especially since Ridge is having their biggest sale of the year right now. With the Ridge 2.0, 10% lighter, every gram matters. They really did find the perfect balance. More modular with improved cash straps, money clips, and AirTag attachments. Plus, all Ridge wallets have a new industry-leading built-for-life warranty. So even if your wallet is lost or stolen, they've got you covered. Over 100,000 5-star reviews. That is proof that Ridge is a gift that people love to receive. So here's the deal. For a limited time, Ridge having their huge holiday sale. Head to RIDGE.com. Get up to 47% off your order. This is by far their biggest discount they've given all year. That's ridge.com/chat for up to 47% off your order during their biggest sale of the year. After you make your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that the 49ers Report sent you. You know, before we talk about the defense, I was on with Krug on Friday, and I've said this on my show as well, that the formula for the rest of the year for the Niners, when you lose a Fred Warner, when you lose a Nick Bosa, and you are pretty thin as far as talent and depth goes because of the injuries that you've suffered on both sides of the ball, there's not a lot of room for error. And the margins are very thin, naturally, when you lose some marquee players. And so the formula for San Francisco for the rest of the year is something that we saw today, where the offense has to carry, the offense has to be efficient, they have to play clean. They dropped 37 points in this game against Tennessee. And then the defense, while they've been better as the Niners have won 4 games in a row, today I thought they had some defensive lapses. But that's to be expected for a young team that's lost their 2 best players, that there's going to be some bumps and bruises. And today I thought we saw that from this defense. They didn't play a perfect game, but the offense helped to carry and the defense was good enough. You do that with the level of coaching that the Niners have, they can contend with anybody across the NFL. When you turn it over on offense and then your defense is left on the field for a long time and their backs are against the wall and the pressure is on them and they're light from a talent and depth standpoint, then you're unfairly asking them to play out of this world and force turnovers, which you can't do every single game. The Niners had 4 of 7 turnovers during their 3-game winning streak going into today. No turnovers forced today. So kind of going back to the mean there, which you expected. But I didn't love this Niners defensive performance today. I thought there were a couple of coverage breakdowns that burnt the Niners on the stat sheet, but also there was one play right before halftime that Cam Ward couldn't connect on because he overthrew, I think, Van Jefferson, who was wide open. Coverage breakdown. I thought the Niners against the run were really bad today. I thought Cam Ward had a structure, made some really special plays. There was the Gunnar Helm touchdown where he wasn't even covered, juked out the entire Niners defense. The ball skills from the Niners safety is not great. Opportunity for Jair Brown and Malik Mustafa to have picks. They couldn't pick those passes off. Cam Ward today, 18 to 29, 170. 2 touchdowns, no picks. The concern here for the Niners, and they can't let this happen in really any of their remaining games. You think about who they're playing. The Colts, Jonathan Taylor, they like to run. The Bears, Ben Johnson, the Midwest Kyle Shanahan, as put by John Middlecoff. He likes to run the football. The Seattle Seahawks, they like to run the football. The Niners can't afford to have a game today, like they had today, where they're struggling against the run. 20 carries for 136 yards for Tennessee, 6.8 yards per carry. And it's not like the tackling was bad. There were a lot of big seams and running holes for Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears to run through. Pollard had 14 carries for 104, 7.4 yards per carry. And then Tyjae Spears had 3 carries for 34. Your run defense performs like that, you lose control of the game, you lose control of the clock, and that could result in a loss in any of the 3 games that remain for the Niners. So those are my concerns for San Francisco coming out of this game. You gave up some explosive plays through the air as well. Gunnar Helm had the 34-yard touchdown catch. Van Jefferson had a pop play for 43 yards. Chigawankwu had a play for 17. Alec Ayumanner had a play for 17 as well. Yards per completion for the receiving core for Tennessee, 9.4. So the defense has to be better. But luckily, as I said, what the offense needed to do was carry this team and has to for the rest of the year. Today, San Francisco carrying the team on offense. And that's right now where your moneymakers are. Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy, George Kittle. And that's where your marquee players like Christian McCaffrey, Jauan Jennings are as well, as compared to the defensive personnel. So an updated look at the NFC playoff picture here. There is one big change. Well, 2 changes. One big change, though. The Rams, by beating the Detroit Lions, clinch a playoff spot, and they are currently entrenched in that number 1 seed at 11-3. The Chicago Bears go from 7-2 with win over Cleveland. Packers lose to the Broncos. Packers drop to the 7 spot. They play again for the second time in 3 weeks coming up next week. The Eagles beat the Raiders 31-0. They end their 3-game losing skid. Philadelphia 9-5. The Buccaneers lost on Thursday to Atlanta, dropped out of the lead of the NFC South, now back in it, because Carolina lost to the New Orleans Saints. Both those teams 7-7. The division in the NFC West could maybe come down to this Thursday's game between the Seahawks and the Rams, or perhaps maybe even Week 18 between the Seahawks and the Niners. Seahawks hold off Phillip Rivers and the Colts today. Last-second field goal there to move to 11-3. Niners win to go to 10-4. Packers drop to the 7th seed at 9-4-1. So you get the point that I was making earlier, why it was important for the Niners to win this game. Rams win. Bears win. Niners play the Bears in 2 games. Eagles win. Seahawks win. Packers lose. Niners win. You stay in that 6th spot. Good place to be. First round right now would be Niners, Eagles, and Philadelphia. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. My name is Chase Sr. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. Niners crush Tennessee 37-24.